Night, all right? All right. A little cooler weather. Um, so we talked yesterday, and we're going to continue to talk. This is the fourth day that we're kind of doing this 4th of July detail. First, we had the fireworks and everything, and towards the end of the night to make sure that we're keeping everybody safe, not just downtown, but throughout the city. Some of the plans that we had was holding parents accountable for juvenile behavior when they're downtown. We went through a lot of the numbers. We looked at them, and then even coming after last year, and we had some incidents down here last year. And we always have an after action review on every major incident, whether it be Mardi Gras, whether it be St. Patrick's Day Parade, whether it be Pride Parade or the Grove. We take a look at these things and we make sure what we can do better. How do we have to how we have to take a look at and how we have to adjust. So we started doing that right after the 4th of July last year. We put the plans in place, and some of the plans you saw took effect, and some of it was holding those juveniles accountable and also holding their parents and their guardians accountable. So when we had to address them and some of the behavior that they were doing, we also called the parents in. We cited them for their behavior. But what we really want to do, these are our children as well. And we really want to drive them and guide them towards hope instead of handcuffs. Hope instead of handcuffs. And why we want to do that, these children need services, some of them need some support. And upstream, we look at things, how do we get them to be productive adults? And when things like this happen, how do we identify, triage? And we have a lot of stakeholders that do that. And we want to work with all of them. And when these type of things happen, we identify them with social services, through other services, and we're hoping the other stakeholders take a good look and maybe can give some of these kids the help that they need so they don't come down and do things not just here downtown or back in the neighborhoods where they've come from, to make sure we can keep them healthy, we can keep them safe, keep other people safe from the behavior. And those are the type of things that we're looking at. We had a really good weekend. A lot of people enjoyed themselves. You can see people walking past us right now from the convention that's going on. It is the biggest convention going on. The amount of people in the United States at this time, I'm being told, upwards to 50,000 people in the dome that are going there. And they're going to be here all week, and it's going to be in the tens of thousands. The feedback coming from them, they love the city. They enjoyed everything was happening. But there were some things that we had to start to change some behavior and change what people were doing when they were coming down here to make sure it kept itself. The men and women of the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department have done a tremendous job, not just downtown, but throughout the city, throughout the city. And crime continues to go down. Our murders are some of the lowest you've seen in decades. And you can go right on slmpd.org, look at those numbers in real time so you can see them for yourself. You don't have to wait for the chief to report that out and see some of the things. I don't want to get lost when we have to take this type of action, but I think it's going to start the conversation. It's going to continue the conversation. And when I say that, we have other cities now that are calling us up. We share best practices, and it's starting to, with social media, the way it can advance and the way it gets out there. Other police departments are calling us to say, how are you doing this? Can we talk to how you're doing this and how you kept your downtown safe this year where other cities had some problems? And you know what? It's not like we don't have some of our challenges, but how we address them, how we adjust to them. I'm very proud of how everybody came out, did that, and thank you for getting the message out. So I think with that, we'll take some questions.
Can you talk more about after these juveniles are arrested, what kind of precautions or not precautions anymore? How are you making sure these kids don't get arrested again? Is it street intervention? Are they working with social services? Will you go into more detail about that?
Yeah, we have an Office of Violence Prevention. We have youth services for the administration. There's other things with social services. So if there's things that are going on, they'll red flag it. If things go into the juvenile detention center, that's why when we make juvenile arrests, I want to make sure they get into the juvenile detention center because that's where we can capture to find out and triage what's happening in their life that's causing them to be out here and some of the behavior they have. And is it things that are going on in the family? Is it things that are going on in school? And then we can triage that. But if we don't actually address them when some of the behavior isn't where it's supposed to be, and take them into a place where we can get them help, that's compassion, that's empathy, where we can actually the red flag is there. Let's get ahead of ourselves, and all these other stakeholders can come in before us, or they can come in behind us. And I think that's some of the things that you see and see with our administration.
Do you feel that the holding parents accountable piece of this is really helpful in the results and maybe how we move on from here and hopefully don't see them out here in the streets doing that kind of thing again?
Well, I believe from what the feedback that I've gotten, some parents were somewhat surprised to see children fighting off fireworks, or some possessed a deadly weapon, a firearm. We had a 13-year-old with a firearm that we made an arrest on yesterday. 13 years old. Think about that. Carrying a firearm downtown, running around downtown with other juveniles, and we've made over at least 10 gun arrests, and most of them juveniles, and they're running around with fireworks and doing this type of thing. If they didn't know, it's kind of be alarming. I hope this is the first signal that they see in the behavior that they're going to correct. And for the other ones, what's going on in that home, see how we can help them out. And so I think we have to start somewhere. And I think starting to hold guardians and parents accountable to the behavior of their children, citing them, where now they have to go to court and start answering, maybe that will trigger an additional response to, hey, let's see what's going on. Maybe we can get you help you need if you need it.
I know that was part of the special kind of enforcement plan for this weekend, but do you plan on doing that in short bursts at other times, or is that going to be, just case by case basis?
We've started the conversation. And I think this conversation now really has come to the forefront. Look at the media asking about it this week. And I think that's great, because I think where we all want to be is to make sure that we keep everyone safe and get people the help that they need. Like I said, we're trying to get to a place where it's hope instead of handcuffs. That's where we want to be as a police department. We don't want to be at this point, but we need to be able to change the behavior and the accountability of the individuals that are responsible for the juveniles that are doing the things that they're doing. And it shouldn't just be downtown. We're looking at ways that we can expand it for all the things that we're doing juveniles across the city. So we're definitely taking a look at that.
I know you said it was a good weekend. Can you talk to me a little bit about what that exactly means?
So I do things by comparative analysis. And if you take a look at the things in the reporting I have, you don't compare yourself against other cities, you compare yourself against yourself. And how are we doing as a city? Yeah, we have our challenges, but are we getting better? And when I say we have challenges, that's not to dismiss some of the things. We've had a shooting that happened just north of the city this weekend. But compared to where we've been in years past, we are doing better. And that's progress, not victory. So we want to make sure that people know, put it in context, because if we live in the moment, we never know if we're getting better or worse. I think right now we're seeing some very good progress, and hopefully we can continue on that trend. And I have confidence in this police department and the city we will.
And you guys had the presser right before the weekend started. Do you feel like the messages you guys put out were well received?
I think so. I have my public affairs department with us. They give me updates, what's happening on the feedback, and especially some things, Instagram, Facebook, and even the reports that you write. Sometimes we start getting feedbacks because that makes it to social media. There's a debate going on, but it's a debate that I think it's good to have. And most of it's been positive from what I've been told, and it's been reported back to me. And anywhere we can have this conversation, we're trying to get to a better place. I'm all for that. It's a healthy debate, and then let's get everybody involved.
Are you concerned about any activity tonight, or do you have any are you still amped up on the enforcement downtown for this evening?
I don't really talk about all the operational things that we're doing. We move things, we adjust as we see things, intelligence information. We look at things that have happened in the past. We can kind of tell the temperature of who's going to be out, how many people we need. We adjust throughout the city, and of course, you'll see some adjustments happening. You're out with us, you see this type of things, but it doesn't mean we're not in another area. But we adjust accordingly, because a lot of these offices, they're all working on holidays. They're working nights. They're working long hours, just like you are. But at a certain time, I want to make sure that there's a healthy balance for them as well. So I adjust them where the needs are to try to be in the right place at the right time.
Now that the weekend is over, are there concerns? Firework tents, they will start sales. Are we looking to the future about fireworks being fired in a couple of days?
Right. Well, that's why we get overwhelmed. Both the fire department, police department, 911 calls. You saw 341 calls for fireworks related activities in several hours. So now those calls are not going to be bundled in such a high volume. So when you parse them out, we'll be responding and have ability to prioritize them more. So then you're not going to have the same type of volume that we've had on July 4th, but certainly there's residual fireworks that haven't been shot off, and we want to make sure we keep everyone safe.
Overall, were you, I guess, happy with how things worked out and the plan that you put in place and warned everybody about ahead of time?
Well, I think where we started warning everyone about what we were going to do probably about 10 days ago when Chief Jenkinson from the fire department and I, we did a press conference about keeping everyone safe. We talked about it then. We continued the message. Some say they were still surprised, but so be it. This is where we are, but this is things we want to continue to do. Am I happy with things? Listen, I want perfection. I want zero crime, zero arrests. Until we can get to that point, I'm never going to be satisfied. But I think we're in a better place than we were last year, and I think we can build off this going to the rest of the summer.
Just a couple of more housekeeping notes. We sent out a media advisory earlier today. 130, or I'm sorry, 46 firearms have been submitted to the crime lab citywide. 46 firearms have been submitted to the crime lab citywide since Thursday, which is a 130% increase from this time a year ago, which shows that there are still a lot of police officers that are finding firearms or seizing those firearms, and firearms are being submitted to our crime lab. So you guys have some of those notes, and then Sean and I will continue to be out here tonight to provide updates as we continue our efforts.
And I think that's really important what Mitch talked about. You talked about the firearms that we were able to seize and make arrests downtown, and that's a dangerous situation. You have kids that are throwing fireworks at each other, and also some that have guns on them, and what retaliation can happen. So getting on top of that, this isn't just about fireworks. This is about keeping people safe, and that's our main goal. And I hope that doesn't get lost in everything that we're trying to do. But if you talk about the amount of fireworks, I mean, the amount of firearms that we seized in the last few days, 130% compared to where we were last year, and that's citywide. So if everybody thinks this is just about downtown, we have the whole city covered. We don't forget about downtown, just like we had an enormous amount of officers, additional officers up in the impact zone for EF3 tornado. But you always heard me say, we're not forgetting about the rest of the city. We got to make sure we can do both, and that's the same thing that we were doing downtown for this weekend. So I appreciate putting that in context, and proud of the men and women in the work they've been doing, the long hours, and also the fire department, emergency medical service, and a big shout out to City Toll. They are out here every night with us, and they're helping us clear streets, and they're working side by side. They don't get enough recognition as they deserve, and I want to make sure this opportunity to make sure that they got that today, and I think I did that yesterday as well, and I won't stop. Thank you.